Hello, beautiful souls. So I'd love to invite everyone to just come into the moment here. Take some nice deep breaths. So just inhaling deeply the whole way down to your hips. And exhaling, release. So I read a passage the other day that talked about how breathing is this dance with the divine. It's actually unity with the divine, and how we are breathing thousands of times a day, receiving God, receiving the universe, receiving spirit, and giving spirit, and how each breath is an act of love. It's an act of union with the divine. So to get centered here, let's just become aware of our breathing and really feel how we are breathing the beloved in and breathing the beloved out. This universal cosmic life force, this divine intelligence that we are and that everything is made of, the oneness. Always breathing that in and breathing it out. So let's do that for a few moments. You can place your hands on your heart, on your belly, and just feel the love that this consciousness has for you, for us, as we breathe it in and breathe it out. Just relaxing your body, relaxing your mind. Letting the spirit fill you up and releasing. Letting the beautiful divine energy just bring restfulness to your being, bring love to every cell. And just know that this is something you can come back to at any time throughout your day. You know, if you just want to feel some peace, of course, coming into the moment is a great way to just feel peace. But also just feeling how every breath is an act of love with the divine. It is just union, communion with the eternal spirit, source, God. And we can feel love there. All right, so come on back whenever you're ready. And so this talk today is based off of a download I received earlier, and it is all about rescinding judgment and invoking compassion within each of us. And rescind is kind of an interesting word, and I knew the general gist of it, but I looked it up, and it means to make null or void. So making null and void judgments in favor of invoking compassion. Now, I guess this has been coming up in my experience because I recently heard a discourse speaking about how everything that has come to be, in your experience up until now happened exactly the way it should be. And so it's okay to find acceptance in that because we can't change it. It just is, so finding acceptance with things that, happened outside of us, meaning we didn't do them personally, but also finding acceptance with the things that we have done personally, the actions we have taken. Just finding deep peace and acceptance in that because everything is perfect through the eyes of the divine. There is no right or wrong, except for, those are the judgments that the human mind comes up with when it doesn't know the whole picture. When it's coming from a more personal perspective of, what is good or bad for us. But really, in terms of the universal lens or the cosmic lens or the lens of the divine spirit, all that happens just is, and the creation is good. So the question is then, how do I, when I find these judgments coming up within me, either about myself or about, the perceived other, how can I rescind judgment, meaning make that judgment null and void, and invoke compassion? Because when I invoke compassion, I ripple the compassion that I feel for myself, I ripple it out so that I can feel compassion for the people that I interact with, for the events that happen, for anything that occurs. Once I have compassion for myself, I can find compassion deeply for anything. So a lot of people, find it challenging to let go of the judgments, to find compassion for ourselves, especially. Now, we might find it easy for people we know dearly and love to, see that they were doing the best they can and, have compassion and love in our hearts, even if they did something that, was maybe hurtful or painful in the moment, but we're able to see and have compassion for others, right? So then the question is, well, how do I have that for myself? So one of the things I've been practicing is imagining this whole universe, meaning all of the things that I see, the hologram, so to speak, everything that I'm experiencing when I open up my eyes and I look, and even the empty space that I sense, and even, my immediate reality, that this sphere that I'm in, that is my own experience, that this is like the divine mother or the divine father, source, holding me, that this container that is my experience, that is my reality, is actually the divine spirit holding me. And this is a really comforting feeling. It's a really comforting thought because, as we know, a mother and father's love is unconditional for their child, typically. And so this unconditional love is the love that Source feels for all aspects of itself. It's, it's children. We are the children of Source. And so our reality, our sphere of reality that we are in the middle of as we're living, we're always surrounded, because everything is consciousness. We're always surrounded by this source of unconditional love, always. So let's just feel that for a moment. How everything in my direct experience, everything that I'm experiencing, whether it's inside of my internal awareness or outside, it is made of Source. It has Source energy, and it is holding me in unconditional love. So every moment that in my human brain, I think, oh, why did I do that? How could I have done that? We have this surrounding force, this unconditionally loving presence that is holding us, that is loving us, that is seeing us. Because all we're really doing is exploring this reality. And the judgments, they don't come up until later, when we think we've known better. Right? So we can't let our future self judge our past self for something that in the past, that version of ourselves was just doing the best that they could. Just doing the best that I could. You just doing the best that you could. Now, what I found is that judgments come up for a few different reasons. It might be because, now looking back, you see that you wished you would have gone a different way, or felt Source more deeply, or those moments when maybe you knew you were out of alignment with, Source, or out of alignment with the highest good, but you did it anyway. And once again, all that is exploring this reality. So just like a child is messing around, maybe, hits someone else or steals from a store or whatever it might be. And maybe there was something inside of that child that went, ooh, let's just try this out. But did it anyway, because in that moment, that's what that child needed to do. That's the impulse came through to do it. Now, as loving parents, I'm not a mother yet, but I can connect with the energy of that unconditional love. And so, for these innocent children, do we have judgment there, or do we recognize that they're children and they're just learning and exploring and growing? That is what we're doing too. Just exploring, exploring this reality, exploring this world. And there's not any judgment from the unconditionally loving Source. There's not. So if we can transcend this thought of something being right or wrong and just accepting what is, because what is the creation and it is Source, then we can move into the energy of compassion. We can move into the energy of unconditional love by feeling that source is always around us. Source is happening perfectly, exactly as it is meant to. And that all of this life is just an exploration of consciousness. So practice as you feel like, if you feel like you have judgments coming up in your experience, practice feeling the unconditionally loving source surrounding you. Practice feeling what that energy of loving something so deeply that you don't care what they do, you don't care what happens, you know that the love is still there. Practice feeling that and feel it for yourself in every aspect, in every moment, knowing that it's just the divine in form exploring, and that exploration is okay. It's okay. So we're practicing seeing this and feeling this from a different perspective, seeing from the eye of source, meaning seeing with eyes of love, and having true compassion for ourselves and all that we have experienced, having compassion for the reasons why that experience came into being in the first place, recognizing that anyone who is rippling pain or creating pain in the experience, it is because there's still pain unfelt or unseen within that human or within that consciousness. And we can have compassion for that because at our core, we are deeply loving beings because we're made of love. And if we don't find compassion for our own experience, then how can we have compassion for anyone else? So finding and cultivating this compassion, this unconditional love for our own experience, is being of service to the collective, is being of service to the whole, because we can hold this frequency of compassion, we can be that. And I'm sure most of you are aware that is desperately needed in this time and place right now. Deeper compassion, deeper awareness for why things come to be in the first place, for just allowing and accepting things for how they are, and finding compassion. Because compassion is like a flame, like when we ignite it within our own selves, it spreads. When I remember to have compassion and feel unconditional love for myself, that makes me an unconditionally loving being. And that spreads. We're all connected always. And that ripples through the energetic frequencies of anyone that I come into contact with and anyone I've ever known, anyone I will know. And not just humans, but the actual fabric of reality. Cultivating this energy of compassion and unconditional love. It's igniting in the hearts of every human, our whole human family. So recognize, that we're all just exploring. It's okay to find love for ourselves, even in those dark times, those dark moments, even in those shadow points. For someone we love, wouldn't we just want to be a light or be a source of love for that human? If we see that they're feeling pain or suffering, let us be that for ourselves. Let's extend that compassion, that unconditional love to ourselves. We deserve to be healthy and well. We deserve to not ripple pain outwards. We deserve to feel unconditional love and compassion inside of our own hearts. Just like a mother and father's unconditional love, the universe, source, the intelligent consciousness, the spirit feels that for us. And we can surrender into that compassion for our experience, knowing that it could not have happened any other way, that this is the way that it was meant to happen because it did happen that way. And it's okay to explore. It's okay. So each of us, let us rescind judgment and let us ignite compassion so that we can unite as a human family, as a human collective, as a earth collective, an earth collective once more, remembering who we are, bathing in the waters of unconditional love, feeling the energy of the divine intelligence, of the divine conscious love, feeling it within our own hearts for ourselves, for our own experience, and for others, so that we can find peace in the moment, because that's really what it does. It brings us to feelings of peace. Because if we're constantly trying to pick something apart, something that happened, constantly judging, we have no peace. Because we're trying to change something that can't be changed and shouldn't be changed. Because sometimes those experiences offer us opportunities for growth and healing and expansion and joy. Sometimes those experiences, most often those experiences, are pathways to a higher reality. And so why would we judge that if that's what we need to do to get there? It's like the seed being planted in dark soil and being there for a while and, wondering, fighting it, why am I here? What am I doing here? Instead, just accepting, just finding love in that situation allows that energy to blossom, not spending so much time fighting what's happening, what has occurred. So let ourselves blossom through love, through peace, through compassion. Trusting in the divine, trusting in the spirit, the divine intelligence that beats each one of our hearts, that breathes us, that allows for all of this beautiful creation to grow and flourish. Can we trust in that? Can we find the divine love at the core of our being and hold it for ourselves? So I want you to feel yourself as a loving parent, like almost as if you've grown in consciousness, okay? I'm not my body. Let's expand the awareness, expand the consciousness so that you're surrounding this physical body now and you're sort of encompassing it, watching it, holding your physical body, your experience. And cultivate that feeling of unconditional love within you, whether that's for a child, for a project, for family, for whatever it might be that you feel unconditional love for. Start feeling that stream of unconditional love as you've encompassed yourself, your body at this time. So you've gotten really big. And we're just going to start beaming unconditional love towards your physical being, towards your experience now. And we have compassion, knowing that you've done the best you can. You're learning, you're exploring, you're growing, and that's okay. It's good. Let's do that for a few moments now. Feeling it, seeing yourself being held by this reality, by this life force, this intelligence. And just knowing that in each moment, I'm alive, I'm aligned, I'm doing the best I can. And just knowing that each path, each choice, each decision, eventually in this time space, it leads us back to love. Because the love is the ever present now, the love is the ever present reality. And everything else is just an illusion. Past, present, future, all illusions. All we ever have is this moment now. And this moment now is made of love. So let this compassion bleed into every ounce of your being, every one of your thoughts, your words, your deeds. Let unconditional love and compassion bleed into every one of those spaces. So that we can ignite our own hearts with love everlasting. And so that we can extend this, we can share this, we can emulate this for all of the human family. So thanks for listening, guys. Sending you all lots of love and compassion. And I'll see you next time.